How are you guys doing? Malagant here. So we're gonna talk about Diablo 4's upcoming patch in Season 4. There has been patch notes about like the changes, the new systems, new content. But they didn't really talk about like Season 4 content so far, so we don't necessarily know anything about the Season 4 theme that will come. But on top of that, we don't know what sort of like content that is going to offer either. So all we know is like the base content changes, the system changes, and on top of that, um, there are some like certainly new content availability as well. And for the first time in Diablo 4, they have actually made a PTR as well, and I've been playing the past couple of days. I didn't really play for long, but about like maybe 15 to 20 hours or something in total. It's been pretty satisfying, and I think I've seen enough. So I'm going to be sitting and waiting for Season 4 now. But I kind of wanted to make this video to cover my thoughts and also show you like what is going to be new. So there are, in my opinion, 4 very big and new changes to the game. One of them is going to be the Haltide being available from level 1. They have taken the feedback of like this, the vampire themed season 2, which had like this, the blue Haltide that everybody called. And they are basically uniting the events and the boss summons and the density within that zone onto the normal Haltide and making it completely available to you from your level 1 in World Tier 1 even, and you will be able to level inside there. And the monster density is absolutely amazing. In every single step that you take, there's like either an event or an elite to kill or a chest to open or just something to interact, and there's no time to even maintenance your characters. A little bit of brackets right over here. This reminds me that I should mention that like all of these changes that are coming to Diablo 4, and to be honest with you, this is the favorite part for me. It is making the game a lot more seamless when it comes to like transitioning in between, but also less maintenance requirements. So especially taking care of like your stash tabs, your inventory, your time spent within the town, and also your time spent looking at the map, etc. So all of these changes, the same thing can be said for like time spent looking at the loot on the floor and trying to figure out what you want to be looting. Every single one of these things are being drastically improved thanks to this new content and the changes. So I really do appreciate most of these things, because like I just want to lay back, kill some demons, and just instead of worrying about doing an event, trying to like make one of the NPCs survive, or like search for like every single enemy within the nightmare dungeon to like to be able to progress to the next level, or try to figure out which yellow item in my bag is like rolled a little bit higher, or maybe even a higher item power. I can continue this for like 50 minutes. There are so many small things that are going to be fixed just because of these new things that I'll mention, and every single one of them is helping the game to become much more seamless, as I said, more straightforward, and at the same time much more laid back, relaxing, just monster killing. I might be a little bit of a Diablo fanboy myself. Definitely, I'm not necessarily like embarrassed to admit this, but this game is running very satisfying. Incredible performance, very good engine. I like the atmosphere, I like the animations, I really like how it plays within the party, and I like the visual clarity in this game. So there are certainly a lot of things that are missing from this game, and they are being improved at a steady pace. With this one, is going to be at a higher pace for sure. But all those things that I have said, in my opinion, Diablo 4 has the best one in the ARPG business right now, 100%. No other game, no other ARPG has good performance, in my opinion. Their clients are totally either old engine or running bad, or definitely doesn't necessarily respect the player whatsoever when it comes to like the performance sync, the CPU bottlenecking, etc. And even the server performance is absolutely terrible for Europe. I'm not going to name any names whatsoever, but like any sort of ARPG that you can think of is going to be dumpstered by how Diablo 4 is, in my opinion, running or offering when it comes to just like quality, performance, or stability, or even the visual clarity. That's one thing that I really like about this game. So I'm looking forward for the future of Diablo 4, and I always have, to be honest with you. So I have covered Helltide, which is the good thing, which is a new thing, right? When it comes to like its changes and the fact that you will be leveling in Helltide with your new character, so you don't really need to like go into a dungeon and reset it all the time anymore. So it's much more making sense to just like jump into Helltide and just run around, loot some stuff and kill some stuff for sure. And it's going to be much more faster to level as well. So they're shrinking, or like I should say they're increasing the leveling speed that we get to 100. And the reason behind this is like they've clearly said on the campfire chat that like they want us to just enjoy the late game. They want everybody, almost everybody, to be able to get there and do the end game content, because they want to improve the game when it comes to what the game offers within the end game, because like we're done with the early game kind of thing, you know what I mean? Even though they are trying to like, the developer team is trying to like improve our experience within the early game as well, just like this Helltide change or the itemization change, I do believe that like their sole purpose is to like make that end game the best that it can be. All right, so apart from the Helltide, we're obviously getting the itemization change, and I'll be talking about this in depth in the upcoming minutes. That's the second thing. The third thing is that the Codex. This is something that I mentioned several times, and I couldn't necessarily believe that like it was implemented in the way that it was within the game. And one of my first quality of life videos, even before the season 1 in my channel, was talking about how the aspects are just working the way that they are, and finally they're implementing this codex to have all of the aspects within. Not only that, but also like as you go and find better versions of these aspects. So like, for instance, this one says you gain 40% increased movement speed when moving away from slowed or chilled enemies, right? So this is a maximum rolled aspect. If I go ahead and salvage it, by the way, it is not on the occultist anymore, it's on the blacksmith. So if I go ahead and like just salvage this item, my Codex of Power is going to be grabbing this aspect and making it available to me throughout the rest of my journey in that season. And it will put a golden frame around it like this, simply because it is a maximum rolled version. Now I am kind of complete with that aspect, and this goes for like every single aspect for every class, every legendary that you can think of. There's a search bar over here. You can write cold to see what is cold. You can write vulnerable to see what is vulnerable. You can write movement to see what is movement. You can write sorcerer to see what is about sorcerer, and you get the idea. It's ridiculously easy to use. So the code exchange is the other one that is very big. The last one that is very big is this thing right over here. This is going to be called the Pit, but it's exactly like the greater rifts from Diablo 3. We're finally getting this new end game content, which it is very, very end game. It starts from monster level 100. I really hope that like they will be balancing the builds around this a little bit, or make this much more difficult, because it's kind of easy right now. And at the same time, it goes only to tier 200, and Rob was like already capable of, you know, one-shotting a tier 200 with a barbarian build and then a druid build, and I would imagine he would be able to like do it with many other builds as well. So I would like to see some sort of like a much lower ceiling when it comes to character power, and the pit interaction, so that like we have some sort of like a progressive feeling going on every season when it comes to like, oh, can I achieve like, okay, I have achieved 96, can I achieve a 97, try very hard for like 2 days, holy shit, I made a 97, etc. Like I would like to see Diablo 4 to be achieving this and going towards that direction. But yes, the pit is going to be the fourth biggest implementation, or the new thing that we're going to be getting, even though, you know, it's new to Diablo 4, but it's not necessarily new to Diablo. But this is something that people asked for a very long time. Just give us the rifts, please. And we're finally getting that. The biggest difference, if you're not familiar with a rift and a dungeon, is that like a dungeon, you need to like find the key, you need to open it, you gotta teleport inside, and then now you have like events inside, you get an objective inside, you gotta like loot this chest, loot that thing. Great Rift, it doesn't have any loot inside other than like killing the last boss. It doesn't have any events. It doesn't have any objectives. You just are teleported into a tunnel, kind of, right? A dungeon. After the first loading screen, there's no other loading screens, and you just kill demons. Just kill monsters. When you complete your progression bar, kill enough monsters, you'll be teleported into the boss room. you kill the boss, now you have your loot, go next. So it's incredibly seamless and very relaxed and laid back content. Now it's available to us. Really do appreciate that. There are certainly small things added to the game as well, which is like very convenient and for quality of life, such as obviously, we don't necessarily need to like deal with the aspects anymore, but on top of that, we have all these things like clumped up in every single town now, like so the enchanter, the occultist, I should say, the blacksmith, the stash, the gem vendor, the opals vendor, everything is just clumped up. You don't necessarily need to like go left and right in the town all the time. That's all. Any sort of like town, big town that you can think of, all of these vendors are like clumped. So don't be surprised if you end up like seeing the blacksmith not on its location anymore, because like they have all been relocated to somewhere else, a new place in the towns. So that's very convenient too. We are let's talk about itemization to finish this video, because I would imagine like I'll be talking about this quite a while. There are certainly other things that I didn't cover, but I'll finalize with the itemization. The itemization is like incredibly big of a change, and it's kind of coming up with like such a good design and implementation that like it's going to be helping us when it comes to like not only the time that we spend deciding what to loot, but also the time that we spend stifling through the items in our bags, deciding which one has the better roll, deciding which one has a higher item power, deciding which one to use to begin with, or could it be an upgrade. So all of things are just like fixed immediately just because of the way that like they're implementing. Now we have like a progressive manner of upgrades in Diablo 4 thanks to this new itemization. How it's going to work: you start your level 1, you're going to be grabbing white items, and you could actually use white items, normal items, and then you'll start finding magic items, right, the blue items, level 10 or something. You will be able to use these items as well. When the yellow items, the rare items, start dropping, you don't really care about blue items anymore, right? You will still loot them perhaps for salvaging, right? Perhaps. But now you care about the yellow items. So that was when you were hitting a ceiling in the Season 3 or Diablo 4 so far. In Diablo 4's Season 4, and when this patch is introduced, that will change. There comes a point in the game, in World Tier 4, in the late game, when you're fully legendary. I'm just talking about like just shit legendaries even. They don't even need to be like properly good things. You don't really care about the yellow items either. You will 100% still gonna go ahead and loot them. But not only the items are going to be much more scarce, so you'll get like less loot. Instead, it's going to be giving you just veiled crystals on the floor, and they're auto looting. But at the same time, the reason yellow items are becoming irrelevant is because they offer only 2 affixes, right? So look at this over here. It has only 2 affixes: attack speed, resource cost reduction. Look on the right side. The legendary Choker of the Frozen Orbits has 3 affixes: maximum life, critical strike chance, and total armor. Afterwards, there are 2 new affixes on top of it, which is coming with the crafting thingy. So thanks to yellows being only 2, legendary being 3, there comes a point in the late game where you only care about legendaries now. I know somebody thinking the possibility of like, yeah, but like you can turn a yellow into a legendary using the Codex or like the imprints with the occultist. Yes, but this is not going to be adding an affix to the item. It will still have only two affixes. I can actually show it really quickly. We can buy a ring, a yellow ring over here. So it has 3 mana on kill and 43 lightning resistance. We can come over here, put this over there, just select something random, make it into a legendary. As you can see, it only has 2 affixes on it. Even though my legendary ring has 3 affixes: intelligence, damage, and crit strike chance. So that being said, like in the late game, you don't care about yellows, you just instant salvage them. So there's no more, do I pick up this yellow, or there's no more, do I salvage this yellow? They're just all gone instantly. So it's kind of like a loot filter helping you. So now you only care about legendaries. But now on top of this, there's another layer. There will be coming up a point where you will only care about greater affixes. This is something new. Thank you, Last Epoch. Must definitely shout out Last Epoch here. It's exactly like the exalted items in Last Epoch. In Diablo 4 as well, items are going to be able to only only legendary items, by the way. A yellow item, a rare item cannot do this. Only legendary items can actually drop with a greater affix or more greater affixes. Same for unique items, by the way. So unique items has sometimes 4, sometimes 5 affixes. That means that like you can actually find all 4 affixes on a unique item that are greater affixed, like, or exalted, if you want to call it that way, from last epoch. So in this case, this legendary right over here has 2 greater affixes. It's a ridiculous item right over here. I was crazy lucky. It's not only intelligence but also movement speed greater affix. Pretty rare thing into the boots. So you know, there came a point where you didn't care about yellows anymore. You started only mouse overing the legendaries, but now you have some like decent legendaries on you. Now you only care about greater affixes. So you even like salvage all of the legendaries instantly. Do you care about do you care about keeping a legendary? Definitely not. Do you care about its aspect? Because like before, when we were salvaging an item, right, we were like, do I need this aspect? Do I need that aspect? That's kind of as well. Because while salvaging, our codex is grabbing that aspect automatically if it's an upgrade to our codex. So there's no more like taking this aspect out from the occultist type of bullshit either. So again, seamless, laid back, and incredibly relaxed, low maintenance. You just go to the blacksmith. Oh, I don't have, you just look into your bags. Oh, I don't have any greater affix in my item, you know, in my bags. You just click all items salvage, it's gone. Go next rift, go next pit, or go next hell tide, whatever. So all that like stifling through the items, or like trying to like recognize what is good, what is worthy of keeping, what is worthy of like going to occultist to, what could be an upgrade, it's just gone. Another thing is when you're killing a level 100 or above, the game will always drop the maximum item power. There's no more like, oh, this is not a 925 bullshit anymore. Every single item that will be dropping on the floor is always going to be the maximum, because item power is not what you're chasing anymore. They kind of like are removing that. What you're chasing is trying to find greater affixes, the right greater affixes into the certain slots, just like this item right over here. When it drops on the floor, it will have a Roman numeric to the right of it, but I suspect, because of like how the feedback has been going on in the past couple of days, they might even change the frame, they might change the color. They kind of want to like make this even in your bags. I think developers already said this. They want to make this like much more clear that like that item has a greater affix, not only on the floor but also in your bags, so that like we don't necessarily need to mouse over things. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So that's one of the chases, right? In the late game, there came a point where we are only caring about greater affixes. From here, let's reset this conversation. At the very late game, we're basically just chasing the correct affixes on the legendary items or uniques, right, that are rolled greater affixes, period. Let's reset this conversation now. Just like last epoch, again, in Diablo 4, this is again very new to the itemization, an item drops on the floor, they're completely incomplete. That's a weird sentence, but they are always going to be incomplete. Even if it's a unique item, even an uber unique, when it drops on the floor, it will be incomplete. And what you need to do to complete it is you will need to craft on it, just like in last epoch. The legendary item that you're going to make, just like this one, or you're going to find, is going to have 3 affixes on it. This is an item that we... let me see if there's something here. Alright, there's one. This is an item that we have upgraded to legendary, so it has only 2. Alright, so this one is a drop, basically. It has 1 greater affix on it. It's a runic orb. Focus, offhand, I suppose, and it says 3 affixes, as you can see: intelligence, crit strike chance, and resource cost. It's a pretty good item for me. So we come over here. First crafting is going to be called tempering. Tempering is how you complete the item. This is kind of like early game, mid game, and late game. This is how you complete the item, okay? So it's going to be always bread and butter what you need to do. Another kind of like a completionist chase that you will need to find in this game is going to be the recipes for your tempering. The blacksmith alone, when you start the seasonal journey, is not gonna know all the affixes. You're actually finding these recipes. So like natural finesse. This is a recipe or a plan, I think is what it's called in this game, that drops on the floor as an item. You pick it up and you right click it. Now you can use the natural finesse tempering in offensive slots. There are going to be 2 slots in every item that you will need to complete from tempering. So in total, you're going to end up having 5 affixes on the item, right? And you will be able to put 1 offensive and 1 weapons on top of a focus, for instance. Maybe you can put utility, resource, whatever, but I don't know the plan. It's a possibility right now in the game. Or maybe it's not even possible to put a defensive thing, so it is like grayed out because of this reason, onto a legendary focus. We can check the amulets, because I think amulets is in fact capable of offering not only utility but also mobility as well, which I'm guessing it, you know, I don't have any plans for it, so I don't have any recipes for it, so I cannot do it. There's a limit of tempering that you can do, and I think it's like 5 times or something. Yeah, so on the bottom right, you can see tempers 5 out of 5. So we can do it 5 times in total and try to hit these things. Tempering works a little bit RNG, not the hardest thing to get what you really want. So I'm looking at this offhand right over here. I would like to get frost because I'm playing a cold sorcerer. So I'm going to try to temper this. And we have gotten blizzard damage. If I wanted to use blizzard, for instance, this is not too bad. But I'm gonna go ahead and try it one more time because I'm playing the frozen orb instead. Damage to frozen enemies. It's not too bad. I think I can sit on this. Let's try the weapons over here. Frost augments, cast twice, projectiles with the frozen orb. Very nice. Let's try to get that one real quick. It's gave me blizzard size. So actually the first roll, if I kept that one, it was like a very interesting blizzard offhand, I suppose. It would have been kind of cool. This is Frozen Orb Projectiles, extra 14.5%. So if I wanted to continue trying out my luck, I have only 3 out of 5 remaining. And we can put this over here, because that's an upgrade. Now, that is like the first crafting layer in the game right now. And even an early character is going to be utilizing this. But they're also adding something called Masterworking. Masterworking is going to be a very, very late game crafting system, where you will basically be chasing some sort of like a resources and then the correct upgrades back to back 12 times onto an item. How it works is that like every single time that you upgrade an item, so 1 out of 12, it's gonna go 5% to 5% boost to everything that you see on the item. So intelligence, quick strike chance, resource cost, etc. Everything is going to be boosted by 5% all the time, except the 4th, the 8th, and then the 12th time. On those certain steps, so like we will go 5%, 5%, 5%, and then the next upgrade is gonna hit a one of the mods, and it will basically improve only that mod. And it will this is a good example right over here. You see, I have 139 intelligence and it has a star next to it. It means that this is a greater affix. I have critical strike chance written in blue, which means at rank 4 of Masterworking, on the top you can see Masterworking 4 out of 12. At rank 4, I managed to hit the crit strike chance. Did I want the Masterworking to hit the crit strike chance? I'm not really sure. Maybe I wanted intelligence. I legitimately don't know. But this can go ahead and like hit stuff like pluses to Frozen Orb. It can hit like movement speed. In this case, it managed to hit at like 4 out of 12. It managed to hit intelligence, for instance, because it's in blue, right? So from here, let's just think about the possibilities, okay? You can have an item that is going to be upgrading and choosing from the Masterworking in the very late game, always the same affix because of being lucky, and it will end up giving you like an insane amount of crit damage, for instance. You know what I mean? Or just pluses to frozen orb. You know, or just movement speed on the boots. Always upgraded movement speed. So 12 ranks in Masterworking, and all of these ranks up to 4 requires blue materials, up to 8 requires yellow materials, up to 12 requires legendary. And it's a bit like Lost Ark. As you go higher, the success rate is going lower. So it will have a chance to like fail. It won't reset your item, it won't break your item. It will have a chance to fail and just consume your materials but do nothing. So you'll need to go again. Where do you get these materials? The materials are dropping from the pits. Up to tier 20 right now in PTR, you get the blue items. Up to level 40, tier 40, you get yellow items. After 40, you will start getting legendaries. I was able to optimize this character in about like 5 hours or something, and I was already getting legendaries. So it's not that difficult. But it is a little bit taxing, because that is not the only item that you need. You obviously need veiled crystals as well, which you need veiled crystals for literally everything else as well. So I'm really suspecting that the veiled crystals are the ones that we are going to be missing the most at all times. It does look that way. So the possibilities are going to be really weird, and what you will want to do or what you will decide to commit your masterworking is going to be very important. What I'm guessing and suspecting is that like come late game, you really don't want to use your masterworking going above 4 on the wrong item. So like getting to masterworking 4 out of 12 is like very easy in my opinion. It's quite cheap, but afterwards the resource cost is ramping up so high that I think I would rather make sure that like that item is the one that I'm going to be using for a very long time, and it will be very difficult to upgrade that. So I want to like commit into 12 out of 12. There will come a point where I will be swimming in materials, I hope. And then what we will do is there's a little button over here, reset masterwork ranks. So you click this, it goes 0 out of 12 again. All of the upgrades that you have done completely wasted, right? And you will try this time to hit exactly the thing that you want to. So you'll go 5%, 5%, 5% movement speed. 5%, 5%, 5% movement speed. And then 5%, 5%, 5% movement speed again. Then you are done. So I'm not necessarily good at math whatsoever. But what are the odds of like hitting the possibility of like hitting the same thing back to back 3 times in a pool of like 5? I have no idea, but I'm assuming it's very difficult. Somebody maybe in the comments can actually give me an idea about this. So that will be the highest chase. And you can do this masterworking in uniques, even the uber uniques. It is just absolutely limitless options. Now, what is Diablo 4 missing after all of these things? Granted, I didn't mention some of the stuff that are coming, and on top of that, there's going to be the Season 4 content as well. So this is going to be definitely giving us a lot of new content to go through. And as I said, it's going to be seamless, laid back, relaxing, and just killing monsters. Much less maintenance, and you know what you want kind of thing. And you'll be experimenting a little bit more. But experimentation is what this game is now lacking. The build variety is pretty low. With a skill system like this one, a skill tree like this one, you really cannot come up with something new, especially between the seasons. And we are not necessarily getting like new skills between the seasons either to any class. So we are coming back to the same game. That feeling is not going to go away, right? That's kind of like a weird thing. And on top of all of that, even with an itemization like this, you don't have the feeling to find an item on the floor and go ahead and say, holy shit, that item is so cool. Like, what can we do with this item? What sort of a character build can I come up with to play to that item? Grim Dawn and Last Epoch managed to do that feeling perfectly. You find a MI in Grim Dawn, a monster infrequent, and you're like, oh my god, that thing is insane. Like, we should probably make a character around that. You know, that is like the epitome of having good build variety and possibility in your game. in ARPGs. The same thing for Lost Epoch as well. They managed to pull it off not only for leveling but also for late game, thanks to all those like legendary potential items. I would like to have that type of feeling in Diablo 4 as well. I don't know how. I don't see it possible with this type of a skill tree. Definitely not. But maybe in future, and I can say that like hands down that is the worst part of Diablo 4 going forward. But I appreciate all the work that the developers has done, and I'm looking forward to Season 4, and I really hope this video right over here managed to give you a reason to look forward to Season 4 as well, whether it be 10 hours, 15 hours, or 50 hours that we're going to enjoy in Season 4. We'll see, but I'm looking forward to enjoying however many hours that I'm going to be enjoying until I burn out. And then I can also say, thanks to seeing all of these implementations and changes and how our feedback was received, given you can criticize that it was slow and it was a long period, it took them a while, how well it was received, and you know, all of these things coming into play, I'm looking forward to the future of Diablo 4. 100%. This definitely gives me hope. Thank you for watching, YouTube. I'm going to see you next time. Peace out.